sometimes the pieces don't have to move as much. I think maybe this year is one of those years because we have some guys coming back that have experience. We have what we feel like are really two experienced tackles. I know Andrew hasn't started a game at tackle. He's played a lot of games at tackle for us within the course of a game, and he's obviously worked there a lot in practice. We were fortunate last year he didn't have to play very much tackle. And so we feel like we have two experienced tackles. We feel like we have an experienced center coming back, a guy that's played 1 year at that position and gained a lot of experience the year before at another position. I feel like we have a guard on the right side that has started over the course of 2 years, a few games. He hasn't necessarily played the entire game, but he's played a lot of football. And where we're really trying to figure something out is probably at that left guard position. And I think what will happen is, you saw last year, if we could play 6 guys, if we could play 7 guys, if we feel like we have that kind of depth, we'll play those guys because we feel like that's very good for our football team. Not just for the guys or for the unit, but for the team to have that kind of depth, be gaining that kind of experience. If we can do that again, we'd love to do that. Last year, that rotation kind of settled on the right guard spot. And what that means is it was really simple. The other 4 guys we felt like were on a certain level. And then the next 2 or 3 guys towards the end of the season, we felt like we're playing at a high enough level that they should be competing for us on the field, but we didn't feel like they were playing at a high enough level to displace those other 4 guys. So that's why the left guard kind of became a hot spot there as far as bringing guys in and out of the football game. If we could do that, the right guard last year, I'm sorry, if we could do that again this year at left guard, we'd like to do that. But I'm not naive enough to sit up here either and tell you that the same 5 guys are going to start every football game for us next year. I think we were very fortunate last year, but I don't think that's a realistic expectation. As far as my tweet last year, what I tweeted was exactly what I meant. And whatever happened with the response and publicly, and, obviously I had a pretty good understanding of what might happen.
Yeah.
And I shared that information publicly. Again, it goes back to whatever your personality is, what you're comfortable sharing, what you're comfortable commenting on from a social standpoint. I don't tweet about politics. I don't tweet about other things like that. I made a comment about something I thought was relevant, and has it improved? We'll find out, I think, when we get to August. But I know this, from the standpoint of the Iowa football program, what we're trying to do is provide our fans with the best possible experience on a weekly basis. That starts with us winning football games, and certainly that's important, but also just the standpoint of, what our fans have options nowadays, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. And I know the NFL is dealing with it, and we're trying to deal with it. And what we want to do is provide the best possible experience for our fans because we value our fans, and we value their support, and we value the contributions financially and from a time standpoint that they make to support us. And that's why we go to West Des Moines, and that's why we do things like that. And we'd love to do more things, Kids Day. We're always looking to kind of augment what is on the field with some more exposure or access or the general experience, whatever that may be. So we'll find out, I think, as we get to August if we've made any progress there or not. I can assure you from our standpoint, we intend on winning more than 8 games, so we're trying to do our part. So you got the short straw. You guys flip over this? I won't even let you finish the question. What I'll tell you guys is this. What I'm here to talk about is the 2014 Iowa football season and what we plan on doing, what we're working on doing right now. And as far as things like that, I never made a public comment, and the reason was very simple. There was no need at the University of Iowa, and I'm very happy to be the offensive line coach at the University of Iowa. I have a great job. And I know I sat up here last year and I answered a lot of questions about Brandon Sheriff this and Brandon Sheriff that, and I tried to temper the enthusiasm because at that time he really hadn't done very much. I feel very differently about him a year later. Brandon has a lot of things he needs to improve on. He needs to become a much more complete player. Run game, pass game, leadership. There's a lot of things he needs to do better for us. He would tell you the same thing, I think. That's why he's going to continue to improve. Thinks right. That's the best quality he has, is that he thinks right. That being said, that's my disclaimer. I will share my love letter to Brandon Sheriff with you guys now, because if this guy doesn't get recognized for what he is moving forward, I think it would be a real travesty. There's not a better offensive lineman in college football. That's my opinion. And I think you guys know after 2 years, and some of you knew me well before then, I don't say things like that lightly. That's coming from his coach, but I think that's coming from a very objective place. In my opinion, he was the best offensive lineman in our conference last year. And I got a chance to see through bowl preparation some tape of some other very good offensive linemen in the Southeastern Conference, and I would have stacked him up against any of those guys. I know NFL guys do work and they care about certain things, and I understand that, the draft process. But in my estimation, he was certainly one of the best football players in the country last year. I don't know if he deserved received the proper recognition for that. I would expect him to this year. If he doesn't, I don't know what people are watching or what they value or what's important. But he does everything right. He plays football the way football is supposed to be played, and he acts the way football players are supposed to act. On the field, off the field, in the building, out of the building. And basically, as long as PETA or animal rights groups don't get involved, I think he should be pretty popular. They may not like him so much. I'd put him in the same category as Riley, Marshall, Brian Balaga, another guy who's a Super Bowl champion. I'd put him in the same category as Robert Gallery, Bruce Nelson, Eric Steinbeck, guys like that have paved the way. How does he compare to each one of those guys? I don't know. They're all really good. I'd take them all, So I'd put him in the conversation, though. I think that's fair. Now, he's got to live up to all this. I just throw that disclaimer out there. That's part of the challenge that he has right now. Is he's garnered a lot of attention, and rightfully so. He needs to continue to elevate his level of play.